provides some basic functions for handling time and date. Let's make a working copy of time.c. We'll paste this into our working project. And let's just compile and run this here and see what it's doing. And we'll start at the top. Again, I'm going to just minimize some of these things to the side so that we can see this whole file. The basis of time and date in C is the time t type. Time t is typically a 32-bit or more recently a 64-bit signed integer, giving the number of seconds since midnight January 1st, 1970 GMT. So the time function simply returns a time t value, and that'll tell you what time it is now in terms of the number of seconds since January 1st, 1970. There are two functions, GM time and local time, which will take a time t value and return a structure which has all of the parts of the time already parsed out for you. So you don't actually have to take that number of seconds since January 1st, 1970 and make a time out of it, because that's a little bit complex to do. The TM structure, which is returned by GM time or local time, has that all broken out for you either in your local time, assuming that your computer's time zone variables are set properly, or in GM time. So here what I've done is I've taken the current time and I've passed it to both GM time and local time, and I've used that, and I've gone down here with this printf, which is really a very simple printf, and I have formatted out the time in a format that I like. It's similar to what's used in SQL, and it's got the year, month, day, hour, minutes, and seconds. And I've done that for the GMT variable. I could do the same thing with the local time variable if I wanted to on another line, but I didn't bother to for this because the other way to do this is to use stirf time. And here I've got a character buffer of buff size, and buff size is defined as 128 up on line 6. Stirf time takes a format kind of along the same lines as the printf format with percent signs and characters, and it will format out the time based on a TM structure. So GMT or local T, remember those are TM structures right there on lines 9 and 10. And the format that I've used is year, month, day, hour, minute, seconds, and it just looks like that. The lowercase m is because the capital M had already been used for minutes. So lowercase m is the month number. And so the stirf time function takes 4 arguments. The first argument is the buffer. The second argument is the buffer size so that it'll know not to overrun the buffer. The third argument is the format string. And the fourth argument is a pointer to the time t structure. And it returns a size t value, which is commonly a long integer, with the number of characters in the formatted string so that you have that in case you need it. Stirf time supports a number of format specifiers. These are the common ones, and any good C reference will have a complete table of format specifiers for format T. And you'll notice here in the last example of this, on line 21, I'm including a format specifier %Z, which has the time zone, and here in California, when I'm recording this, it is Pacific Daylight Time. Here are the function signatures for the functions we've used in this lesson. So the time function can actually be called in one of two ways. You can either pass it a pointer to your time structure and it'll fill it in as a side effect, or you can pass it a null pointer and it will return the time t. Most of the time it's called with the null pointer and it returns a time t object. GM time and local time both work the same. You pass them a time t object and it returns a pointer to a struct. And stirf time takes a character string buffer, a count for the size of the buffer, a format string, and a TM structure, and it will fill in that character string buffer with a formatted string up to the size of the count, and it will return the number of characters in the string. I'm going to bring my Eclipse back to size, and we'll delete our working file.